Now on 4, Iranian Nights.
Iranian Nights opened on the 19th of April at the Royal Court Theatre for a 2-week run. It was written as a response to the cultural crisis caused by the Rushdie affair. It was widely acclaimed by the critics as an artistic success. Michael Billington wrote in The Guardian, "It was quite like the old days. The theatre was packed, the pavement outside was thronged, and the stage itself was being used to comment on a burningly topical issue. But the good thing about Iranian Nights by Tariq and Howard Brenton at the Royal Court is that it transcends the immediate issue of Satanic Verses to explore the nature of tyranny, Britain's own responsibility for creating religious intolerance, and the schisms within the Muslim community." As a result, this special performance at the Royal Court was filmed for Channel 4. The play, which was written in 1 week in a dressing room in the theatre, was produced and performed in the midst of controversy.
I felt something needed to be done, and one wanted to hit back, because I was deeply shocked and offended as a human being that a clerical fascist state could try and impose its own authoritarian cultural model on the rest of the world and seem to be getting away with it.
We are trying to clear the air and open the window to many people in the Asian community who find the excesses of the fundamentalists amongst them a problem. If you can't do a little play like this in England, if you can't stand up and speak out, then we really are in trouble.
We felt that it was very, very important that an intervention was made into this cultural crisis. So we sat down and wrote it.
It's a pinprick. A short play can only be that.
Laughter can be a very, very important weapon to clear the air and to get rid of this very, very awful climate of fear.
First night responses indicated that the play had served its purpose.
It's written in the white heat of anger and rage about the Rushdie affair, but it's also a very satirical play. It's about the double standard whereby we seem quite happy to leave a writer incarcerated.
The play was basically courageous, and I think somebody has to stand up.
In a very short time, it tried to explain what people in Iran have suffered for 10 years, and also some of the realities that exist in fundamentalist Islam. Realities like the hypocrisy of the clergy, the hypocrisy of hiding inside your house, having one set of rules and having a different set of rules outside. People's hands have been chopped off for writing articles in newspapers. And I hope people, by seeing this, would realize what it really means, what exactly is happening.
Partly because of the images that have come from television, a psychotic scenario has been set up, which involves hit squads from Tehran travelling the Circle Line, looking for people reading the Satanic Verses.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please take your seats as this evening's performance of Iranian Nights is about to commence. Would you please take your seats as the performance is about to commence. Thank you.
In 1910, in the town of Tabriz in Persia, a young mullah stood on the roof terrace of his house and looked at the sky and saw Halley's comet. His name was Ahmed Khosravi. Halley's comet was passing over Persia that night. Khosravi saw the comet. The star with a tail seduced him away from the true path. The godless science of Europe infected his mind. He became a heretic, a mullah turned inside out. In the language of learning, Arabic, the language of our prophet, peace be upon him, he wrote books. Books which tore at the faith of the Imams. In 1946...
Dog! Hast thou forgotten thine own calendar?
In 1316, Khosravi the unbeliever was brought to trial on the charge of slandering Islam. The devotees did not wait for the verdict. They shot him in open court. Once death is decreed, God's will be done. So perish the enemies of our faith. So perish apostates. So perish their supporters. Strong stuff, eh? Don't worry. It's not mine. I'm just a poet, earning a crust. My name's Omar Khayyam. The moving finger writes and having writ moves on. Nor all thy piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all thy tears wash out a word of it. Love, could thou and I with fate conspire to grasp this sorry scheme of things entire, would not we shatter it to bits and then remold it nearer to the heart's desire? Dodgy, very dodgy. Poems and stories, endless trouble. Witness her predicament. Scheherazade. Before the king. Found his wife in bed with a slave, chopped her head off. Been revenging himself against women ever since. Fuck a virgin every night and have her killed, so that no one else can do the same. This one survived, a young slave girl. Has to keep a drowsy emperor awake. A good story a night, or else... It's not just Sinbad or Ali Baba. Scheherazade tells stories which send a pringle down your dingle. The crown jewels of Arabian literature. The 1001 Nights.
Number of tonight's story.
873, my lord.
Is it moral?
Highly, my lord.
No more morals. Too many mullahs, too many morals. Tell me about wine.
how can we talk about wine when the book is so explicit on the subject? It is forbidden, my lord.
What about copulation, then?
No population without copulation. No copulation without population.
Copulation is that act which unites the sexes of man and woman. It is an excellent thing. It lightens the body and relieves the soul. It cures melancholy, tempers the heat of passion, contents the heart. All complete copulation is followed by moisture. In the woman, this moisture is produced by the emotion felt in her honorable parts. In the man, by the running of that sap which is secreted by the 2 eggs. This sap follows a complicated road. Man possesses one large vein which gives birth to all other veins. The blood which fortifies these 360 smaller veins runs at last into a tube which debouches in the left egg. In this egg the blood turns about, clarifies, and changes into a white liquid which thickens because of the heat of the egg and smells like palm milk.
Arouse me not. It is not to my convenience. There's something moral after all.
What about this, my lord? Lust is not content with blushes, kisses taken from pure lips, not content with wedded glances. Lust must have a thing which dances, lust must have a thing which gushes, lust must have a thing which drips.
Obscure nonsense. Scheherazade! We are still waiting.
Story 874.
There was once an emperor of Persia, tyrant and torturer, beloved of Satan. Satan gave him all his heart desired. 3 million swords, 1 million crossbows, and 28 Cadillacs. In return, Satan wanted an oil monopoly. The emperor said yes. The people said no. Persia became a prison. In a far-off land, a holy man saw all this and rose with wrath. He told his priests, tear down his palace, break his sword, steal his crossbows, and hide his Cadillacs.
Very wise. Yeah.
Prison doors were opened, prisoners left. Prisoners returned, prison doors were shut.
Satan spoke words of anger and rage, but whispered, all are corrupt. One day this holy man too will be mine. And the holy man grew old. Wars engulfed the land near to ruin. Believer fought against believer. The fountains ran with blood. 1 million believers died. The war lost. The holy man looked up from his bed of pain. He sought a cause to unite his people once again. From far away, a messenger came with evil news. On a small island in Satan's thrall, where 2 queens sat on a single throne, a poet from an old family of believers in the East had written a poem. The blasphemous wretch!
Theology Heads will rule. And what was the blasphemy?
No one knows. It was a book that nobody could read. Without further thought, the holy man said, "Bring me this poet's head." The little island trembled. Fear stalked its book markets. Till one day the poet said, "I will go and meet the holy man, armed only with my thoughts and verses, and sewn into my coat that book which no one can read."
I think I will play the holy man. Are the executioners ready?
They are all on strike.
Have them shot.
Who will execute the executioners?
Who will educate the educated?
I journey to Persia. Through marshes thick with corpses, past burnt-out chariots, there fouled by enemy vapors. Everywhere the smell of war. Is this the land of the pure? I come to the city where seminaries abound, where crowds pray and shout for vengeance. These verses sewn into my coat weigh me down. I'm scared.
Execute that penguin! I can do nothing for you. I am a simple human being. It is God who has spoken.
And the poet tried to remember all the clever things his friends had said to him at dinner parties on that island in Satan's thrall.
Heresy! Holy man, are your words the same as God's?
Be calm. Your death is assured.
If I have truly offended, I apologize. That was not my intent. I too am just a human being. For all I know, it was Satan himself who planted these verses in my head.
Apostate! Do you turn to mockery now?
And the holy man rose in anger. Hear his true words of wisdom and tremble.
Those who follow the West imagine that the Islamic precepts are harsh. Such people do not know what these precepts are for. It is like the physician who holds a knife and tears the abdomen in order to remove a cancer, and someone says the physician is harsh. The physician who cuts off a hand does it because that hand will putrefy the human body. Society is like the human body, and sometimes for rectifying a society, it will punish a person. Punishment that on occasion results in his killing. One who corrupts a country or a group and is incorrigible, he must be eliminated for the sake of purifying and protecting the society. This cancerous gland must be removed from the society, and its removal is done by executing him. Such are Islamic executions. Islamic executions are bountiful executions.
Look, do you mind if I smoke? I will surely smoke forever in hell.
You have lived in the West too long. You no longer understand that truth is encompassed in one sentence. There is only one God, and Muhammad is his prophet.
Look here. Let's debate this. Let's raise this, say, to the level of the House of Commons. My point is, there's nothing original in what you're saying. Every great religion has been through this. The Catholic Inquisition accused Galileo Galilei of abolishing heaven, when all he said was the earth went round the sun. The Jewish elders excommunicated their greatest philosopher, Spinoza, when all he did was pull the wings off flies to see if God would intervene. The Protestant Church was thunderstruck when Darwin abolished Adam and Eve. They have survived and become more human. Why are you holding Islam back? There is enough wealth. Why is your country not the Islamic heaven on earth?
Every religion that traveled to the West was tainted, dissipated into a satanic mire of self-indulgence, worldly illusion. I am not ignorant. Why didn't you write a good poem that everyone could read? You know, something like Tom Brown's School Days. It might have saved your life.
A great religion threatened by a stray quatrain? What madness have my verses unleashed? Fiction greater than any poet's imagination. Now jokes become daggers and rhymes become bullets. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, the beneficent.
You will die. It is God's will.
In heaven's name, why?
Either choose not to make friends with elephant drivers, or build a house fit for an elephant.
What? Right. Let's get this on a rational level. I'll ask you some questions. If your answers convince me, I'll go down on my knees in shame, plead for mercy, pray for forgiveness, commit myself to a pious life, and burn my verses that no one can read. Is it, or is it not the case, that the Prophet explicitly forbade the creation of a clergy? In the war of believer against believer, with your 12-year-old dead in the marshes, which side did God support? You have said that the man who will kill me will go to heaven. How do you know? Is it not the case that it is God alone who will decide who goes to heaven or to hell? Why is it that all your wars are fought against other believers? Why do you not seek to convert me? Can you only spread the word of God by chopping off heads? At the time of the Prophet's birth, was his mother a Muslim? And if you had lived at the time of the Prophet, when do you think you would have become a believer? In your last exile, which Muslim city gave you refuge? Do your threats actually have anything to do with Islam? Or is it just the same old story of power, terror, and realpolitik? And are you sure that you yourself will go to heaven?
The holy man did not answer. Not because he did not have his answers, but because he saw no point in answering a dead man on leave. Not that the poet had asked all the questions. He did not ask the holy man why, in his land, dissident women in prison who were virgins had to be raped, because the holy man's jailers believed that virgins who die go straight to heaven.
Stop! Stop. This story weighs upon my heart. There's only one moral in your story. That the tongue of every poet should be plucked out at birth. Now, give us quick stories, quickly.
Story 875.
There was once a blind poet in the old town of Mara, whose name was Al-Mari. He once wrote,
The inhabitants of the earth are of two sorts. Those with brains but no religion, and those with religion but no brains.
Stop! I said no more poets.
Story 876.
a great sultan went to rest one noon in the bedchamber of his queen, and was stretching himself on the bed when he noticed in the middle of it a large and quite fresh stain, the origin of which there could be no mistake. The world darkened before his eyes. Tottering with indignation, he sought out his queen. Eyes on fire and beard trembling, he said to her, "What is this stain on our bed?" The queen bent, sniffed the stain, and pronounced, "It is man's semen, O commander of the faithful." "I have not lain with you for a month. Can you explain its presence? Can you possibly suspect me of fornication, my lord?" exclaimed the queen. "Yes! Let the Qadi, judge of our faith, determine whether you are guilty or innocent." The Qadi came. Sniffed
the stain and found himself in a difficult position. A wrong word and the Queen's head was gone. In order to gain time, he looked up at the ceiling and saw the wing of a bat extruding from a hole in which it was sleeping. He grabbed a lance and stabbed the bat, which fell to the bed. Then he said, "O Commander of the Faithful, the books of medicine teach us that bat's semen closely resembles that of a man. The mess was certainly made by this bat as he looked down upon our Lady Queen in her sleep. You see that I have punished his lust with death."
Too close to the imperial bone. Now, clean the air. Remind me of the sayings of the Prophet.
Sayings of our holy Prophet Muhammad. May peace be upon him. I order you to assist any oppressed person, whether he is a Muslim or not.
When oppression exists, even the bird dies in its nest.
Whoever has no kindness has no faith.
No monkery in Islam.
Speaking the truth to the unjust is the best of holy wars.
Women are the twin halves of men.
In some poetry there is wisdom.
A man slips with his tongue more than with his feet.
The ink of the learned is holier than the blood of the martyr.
Trust in God, but tie your camel first. Oh, but I weary of my tyranny, forcing this woman to sing to me. I weary of holy purity in a land of third world poverty. I'll go to the West and be free. Yes, I'll join the immigrants. I'll put on Western pants. I'll enter England illegally. I'll no longer be a king. I'll have nothing at all. I'll be an Easterner in the West. I'll sweat, I'll save, I'll do my best. As Americans say, suck it and see. I'll live in Bradford, Yorkshire. I'll drink a lot of English beer. And I will raise a family of heroic sons, proud of me, free of prejudice, free of poverty, true sons of liberty.
He came in 58. Moved up north. Worked on the buses. Punched tickets at railway stations. A decent man. Enjoyed his beer and said his prayers. Then he moved his family here. His wife and 2 sons aged 3 and 4, whom he loved. They missed the sun. But to his joy, the older one loved his school, made new friends, played cricket, had fun. The father worked hard, saved money. The mother complained. She hated Yorkshire pudding and the rain. To make her happy, he opened a restaurant. He called it the Joy of Gorka because he knew the Brits loved Gorkas. His wildest dreams came true. The older boy, brilliant at maths, went to King's College, Cambridge. But something happened there. No one knows why. The son lost his way, forgot his maths, sold his books, forced his English girlfriend to convert to Islam, then threw her out and grew a beard.
Don't mock the party of Islam. In this town alone, we have 300 members and 2,000 sympathizers. Already they fear us. I know you are angry, but please, understand.
My son, I am ashamed when I see you on television burning books. I grew up in Mirpura, illiterate, unread, desperate for knowledge. I worked 14 hours a day and many nights to give you something I never had. So proud when at school your teacher said, your son is brilliant at maths. So proud when you got your scholarship to Cambridge. Even when you said, Father, do not come to Cambridge, I understood. I did not want to embarrass you. I gave you the key to an enlightened world. You have thrown it away, and now you shout and scream, murder and death, and kill the poet.
At Cambridge, I was out one night walking with Julia. The boat club was celebrating. Drunk, crazed, vomiting, immaculately dressed. The English upper class is at their best. They saw me across the street and shouted, "Get the wog!" Julia screamed and ran for help that never arrived. They dragged me into a college quad. I did not resist. There were 6 of them. They stripped me naked, spat, kicked my balls, called me a circumcised pig. "Hey, this wog is a Jew," someone said. Then one of them bent over and shat on my head. They left me shivering. I wept that night, Father. I cried and cried. That night, I swore I never would be humiliated again. I found myself reciting the creed of my faith.
Why did you not tell me this?
I did not want you and Mother upset. I did not want you to feel that it was all in vain. What did I have to do with the world of Bertrand Russell or Wittgenstein? I had no identity. I was a shivering stranger, beaten and battered. Those verses learned parrot-like when I was a child now blazed with fire. I threw their books into a college dustbin and turned to ours. I read the life of the prophet. I read the holy book. And I have come to this revelation. This country can be saved. We mustn't despair. These islands must convert to Islam. But their religion is dead, atrophied, corrupt. Only a godless religion could make a woman a priest.
Do you really mean that Prince Philip will grow a Muslim's beard? That Princess Di and Margaret Thatcher will take the veil? That the Archbishop of Canterbury will climb on top of his cathedral and call the faithful to prayer? And that Mr. Ian Paisley will bow before Mecca 5 times a day? That Mr. Roy Hattersley will agree to be flogged in public for his drinking? do you think that Mr. Mohammed Yukasi of the BBC will change his name to Mahmoud Hussein and broadcast Friday prayers live from Wembley Stadium? And when you have closed down the brothels and casinos in Mayfair, you bloody fool, where do you think the leaders of our Muslim world will go? Convert this country to Islam, are you mad? It would be far easier for Mr. Rupert Murdoch to become a citizen of Iran than for this country to convert to Islam. I don't like the pretense behind your beard. I don't believe you. I too have been spat on and abused. It did not turn me inside out.
Have you ever studied the life of our Prophet, Father?
Your Prophet or mine?
There is only one Prophet, Father. Do you know that he ordered the execution of a poet? A woman? Who will rid me of this daughter of Marwan, he said. The poetess, Asma bint Marwan, had rejected the word of the divine messenger. This is what she wrote about our Prophet, Father. Peace be upon him.
Fucked men of Malik and of Nabil and of Orf. Fucked men of Khazraj. You obey a stranger who does not belong among you, who is not afraid of Murad nor of Matij. Do you, when your own chiefs have been murdered, put your hope in him? Like men greedy for meat soup when it is cooking? Is there no man of honor who will take advantage of an unguarded moment and cut off the gull's hopes?
That very evening, a believer went to the house of the poetess. She was asleep with her children about her. The youngest, still at the breast, lay asleep in her arms. He drove his sword through her. The next morning, he went to our Prophet and said, Messenger of God, I have killed her. This is Islam. This is how Islam was born, Father, sword in hand.
Only God is infallible. Our Prophet was mortal.
Careful, Father. You stand on the frontiers of apostasy. I learnt my religion at your knee. God forbid that I have to stone your restaurant. Can't you see you failed? 5 years a Labour councillor, result? 15 years chairman of the Multicultural Committee for Racial Integration, result nothing. Friendly drinks at the pub, result nothing. Don't think I don't know where you go on Saturday nights. Bastard. You're nothing, nothing. You've forgotten who you are. You don't even go to the mosque on Fridays. The purity of the mullah scares you, Father, doesn't it?
You don't know who I am. You don't know who I was. It makes me sad to see you drift into unreality. Listen, boy. The world I came from was the world of a village. Yes, we were good Muslims. Yes, we prayed to our God. We did not need a party of Islam to remind us who we were. And the mullahs? Ignorant, corrupt hypocrites. The whole village hated them. Do you know why? The mullah in our village stole our food, drank on the sly, and one afternoon after prayers was seen interfering with a goat behind a bush. Don't talk to me about them.
The clergy of God are covered in martyrs' blood.
God has no clergy. That is what my religion taught me.
There they stood, father and son. Father more angry than son, son more angry than father. The father grieving, the son hating, shocked at a loss, gripped by rage beyond their control. The gulf between them grew and grew. Helpless in division, they denied they were son and father.
The book burns, and we're all shamed.
A book burns and they shit in their pants, Father.
I am not a literate man. Perhaps that is why I value books more than you. Do you, Mr. Cambridge scholar, know the biggest calamity that befell Islam? You don't, do you? The Mongols burnt down the Baghdad library. The great books of our culture burnt. That is why no Muslim should ever burn a book.
Our way works, old man. 3 members of their cabinet have already mumbled apologies. Fear makes them tremble. They cave in.
Fear is not a weapon of God.
But it works. A few threats and the Enlightenment is forgotten. Their intellectuals flop to the floor in pools of jelly. Sorry, Mr. Blackman, sir. We didn't mean to offend your religion, sir. Your book is great, sir, much better than this punk poet. If we stop printing his verses, do you promise to go back to your corner and do whatever it is you do with your religion? We like it, really. Oh, feel free to fly around on your magic carpet. Free speech. They cut their own tongues out. God is great. God is great.
You talk like this and fly on Concorde to Bahrain every week?
God's work.
God's work, my ass. You are a pimp, a broker, taking the city of London to a medieval shakedom. Your Islam is an old boys' network. I see it all. For you, the green colour of Islam is the green colour of dollars. Your party in this town is a protection racket.
You have crossed the frontier. This is blasphemy. Father, change the locks on your restaurant. Put grills on your windows. And check your fire insurance.
Ah! You threatening me?
It is God who decrees. I am just a soldier of Islam.
Out! Out of the door! Get out! You are finished for me!
Hello, Ahmed. How are you?
Very depressed. I've just broken with my father.
Anything I can do?
It's religion.
See me myself, we don't go in for religion much. Now listen, Ahmed, I want to put something your way.
Shoot.
Your people seem to be doing rather well. You've even got HMG on the run. But I do think you need a bit of help. You do have an image problem.
Islam does not go in for images. What do you have in mind?
I'll be straight with you. My consultancy has 10% riding on this.
I'm listening.
It's the way your people spit on TV, in the news interviews. The funny dress, too much hair, unruly beards. Now, there is a company that can sell anything. They're giving Union Carbide a friendly image in India. They've advised Boeing to construct a swimming pool at Lockerbie. They're working on getting Gaddafi on desert island discs.
They are an advertising agency.
I do think God could do with it, or your version of God. You see, now that you've got everyone in the country browning their Y fronts, you've got to move on to the next phase.
We will kill the poet.
Yes, you've done well. Shut a lot of big mouths up, but my dear Ahmed, you and I know that you've not really changed since that dreadful incident at Cambridge. Have I ever apologized for that?
Think nothing of it. Now,
What did you really ring me up about?
Your people bringing the stuff in. I'm talking poppy fields here.
Only alcohol is forbidden.
Right. The American distributors want it legit. They're looking at Islamic banks. Can you help?
I'll fly to Florida tomorrow morning.
Good to talk to you, Ahmed. Tatty bye.
Goodbye, Satan.
I am told that fear is spread, that the good are beginning to get worried, and cowardice is beginning to eat the soul. The poet's predicament is now the subject of interminable discussions. In chanceries and at dinner tables, New York, Paris, London, Rome, the conversation begins to flag. Will he live? Will he die? Is it true some mullahs can fly? Only an arrogant, self-centered fool, declares a Western critic. His way of seeing the world, strangely altered, would pit his paltry verse against the genius of the divine book. The poet, in his underground nuclear shelter, chuckles sadly and thinks, fascism in brown shirts is evil. Everyone agrees. But fascism in brown skins, that the decent cannot deal with. As for me, I feel a dumb and speechless pain. I still believe, but not in the heaven of which the preachers drone. I feel alone.
Scheherazade has run away. Slipped the callous tyrant's chains, crept from Persia. Now I live in Notting Hill with my mum. She is not well. The terror, the fear have broken her. Who can understand the fate of the prisoner and the poor who have fled from hate to a nowhere in the west, a nowhere in the rain? Who can understand our pain? Why does the West think it can do no wrong and expect the refugee to be superhumanly strong, more tolerant, more wise than any human being can be? The miracle is so many of us do have the strength to bear the abuse, bear the blind ignorance of what we are and where we come from. A miracle that only a few have gone fanatic, that only a few rave about the satanic. Therefore, the more who speak out, the better. The more, the better of the profound matter of the nature of God and man. Speak out as best you can. What finer sound is there than a human being singing against cruelty, against hate?
Dante,
Christopher Marlowe,
Oscar Wilde,
Omar Khayyam,
James Joyce,
Al Mari,
D.H. Lawrence,
Naguib Mahfouz,
Sean O'Casey,
Fez,
Bertolt Brecht.
Vasily Grossman.
Václav Havel.
Salman Rushdie.